What's up, folks? Sean the Average Angler back at you with another video. Today we've got a really good one if you're into this kind of thing, really. And that is, we're going to talk about glide baits. I've had several requests for glide baits. We're going to kind of stick to the winter time like right now. And we're going to go, well, we'll talk a little bit about the big ones, but mostly what I call tournament-sized glide baits. Baits as a tournament fisherman that I'm going to use, one, in practice, and two, during a tournament day. There's a lot of them out there, and many of them we've all heard about, right? We're all familiar with the old S-Waver. And there's nothing wrong with an S-Waver, right? It's 168, this is the 200, okay? These are kind of in between what I would call my typical for this size. This one's a little bit bigger. It doesn't really seem like a whole lot. It says 20 millimeters, but it's not. Those are very simple. If you are on a spotted bass lake and you're fishing for spotted bass, that 168 is a great one to fish. Light trout color generally tends to be pretty good, and this one right here, which I'm not sure, and you'll see these are the same color, but they're not the same color. Pretty close, not quite. Pretty simple. Cast them, retrieve them, not too fast. Call it moderate, steady retrieve. Every once in a while you can do a reel bump and pause. The spotted bass do really like the S-Waver. If you're feeling spendy, like you want the best, I don't think there's anything better than this. That is the Clutch Darter. That little bait is $235. The good news is you can find them. They're available. These are very unique in that you'll see it goes all the way over. Now, what's unique about it is really the size and then the action you get out of these. And there's some great colors. And I just put a new light in here, and it's need to get back far enough. The colors are really good for natural bait fish. These were made to mimic herring. So I just got this one. I got it from Copper State Tackle, and they had 20% off. What we're really going to talk about is more of the basic ones, and we're going to go over some rod choices here. And I know most people tend to throw an A-rig. This here is my A-rig rod. It's the Croaker Crusher. I don't know how readily available they are anymore, because I think they were discontinuing this one. I think the nice thing about the angle we have here is I can kind of show you the tip there. Okay, it's pretty good. You don't want an overly stiff rod for your glide baits. You need them to be able to eat it well. And two, you need some give when you're fighting the fish so that they don't throw the bait. These are big, bulky baits, okay? This is a Sneaky Pete. You'll see my little sneaky red hook, and then I got the EWG in the back. Round bends tend to be a little better on the swim baits, as I'm about to pull out one with 2 EWGs on it. Now these Sneaky Petes are a little unique in that these are wood, okay? They now come as a, what the hell do they call it? Injected plastic bait, okay? They're still very, very good. They're not wood. And I feel very fortunate to have some of these. But these are a really good bait to fish right now. And if you go back and if you want to see the bait being worked and a fish actually eat it, one, there's tons of them on Ratt's site. And if you have stripers where you're at, man, they show you they're catching some mondo stripers on these. Okay, but that's not why we're here. This bait is a nice, slow glide, and you'll see this one doesn't bend very much at all. That's usually a telltale sign. The more they bend to the side, the more chopping style they are. So this Sneaky Pete, the wood one, is much more of a slow meandering S. Not overly wide, very good subtle action, really good wintertime to pre-spawn to post-spawn bait. Ejected one right here. I knew I had it. Where the hell did it go? So there's your injected, and you will see a lot more bend in it, okay? The nice thing about this is now it's dual purpose. This bait still S-glides really well, but if you get a fish close, you can do short chops with it as well, okay? The Sneaky Pete is a freaking awesome bait, and for the price, it's really, I think, beyond what you pay for it as far as the ability and quality of the bait. They've got some great colors. It's just a bait that works, okay? It's made locally here by Ratt Baits. You've heard me talk about some of their other stuff, the Ratt Thin Swim. The Sneaky Pete is the bait that put them on the map. It runs very, very well in current. Now you'll see a lot of commonalities, if that's even a word, in the baits I'm going to show you today, being one of them. Now, if you can only get one, it'd be really hard pressed to tell you not to get the Sneaky Pete because it works really, really well. This is another one I like a lot. This you have to get at Tackle Warehouse. This is by Baitsanity. Okay, it's the Chimura Shad, and they do a really good job. They give you a tungsten weighing strip if you want to weigh it down some. They give you directions on the back. It's pretty simple, okay? Slow, steady retrieve, it gets a fish behind it, chop, chop. Or when you come up on cover, chop, chop, pause. Chopping baits are typically meant to fish around some sort of cover. However, these that meander or S-swim and chop are bonuses, right? This one, the clutch darter, same thing. This will do the same thing. It's just much more expensive. It also has a very unique action that some of the others don't have. You'll notice the feather tails on the backs of these. These are all new ones, by the way. My swim baits, my glide baits, 3 boxes of them are in the boat, and I just don't want to uncover it and go through all that. All of these can be fished on your A-rig rod for the most part. Now, if you're really serious about glide baits, there is a plethora of rods out there, right? Here's one, here's one. There's 3 in the boat. That's part of the problem. 3 of my glide bait rods are in the boat, rigged up. This is another really good one, and you'll see a lot of similarities, other than the size, between those 2 baits. This is a Japanese bait. This is a Gancraft jointed claw 178, okay? 168, 178. This size and profile is very good at a multitude of bodies of water because of the shape, the slender shape here. You see, if you watch Ben Milliken, some of these other guys in Texas throwing the big hinkles and that, they've got gizzards. Okay, gizzards are much bigger. We here have threadfin, and we have other forage. Okay, this is a hitch pattern. We have hitch in Clear Lake. We have hitch in various other bodies of water around California. This pattern and shape matches the hitch. That's why when Steve Kennedy won the Bassmaster on Clear Lake throwing a rainbow trout Huddleston, why it was successful when we don't have trout in Clear Lake. It's a shape, it's a swim. The biggest thing in fishing a glide bait, especially right now, okay, number 1 is continuing to throw it. That's really the biggest thing, okay? Most people put it down way too fast. They make a couple casts and they're done. That's not how glide bait fishing typically works. It can if you happen to go onto a body of water where people don't fish them, and you see it all the time on YouTube and videos with the guys going to their local pond and that kind of stuff. Well, most ponds aren't seeing guys throwing glide bait. Can't say the same for California. This is pretty much what I'm going to stay with through the winter. I really like the Gancraft. The Chimura Shad is awesome as well. The S-Waver, you want to spend less money, but if you're going to buy the 200, then you're really in the price range of the Sneaky Pete. And I've got tons more, folks. I just don't want to confuse the whole thing. I'm going over what you need here. And the Gancraft has fantastic colors. The Chimura Shad has some really good colors. They've got a bone. You can't go wrong with bone. They've got rainbow trout. This is the hitch. You don't have to have hitch in your lake to throw a hitch pattern, okay? Hitch is just really, it's a very common color for bait fish. Then you can kind of get into some bigger baits. This is a Baitsanity Explorer glide, and this is their carp. These are fantastic search baits. Okay, the back half back here, you've got this nice tail that you can replace. Comes with a spare one in the box. This has one of the best glides on the market. The nice thing about Baitsanity is their prices are very reasonable. Believe it or not, this Baitsanity Explorer glide is about the same price as that Chimura shad. This bait, I'm going to move the camera because I want to weigh it for you, is going to require more of a dedicated rod. Just get a weight here and I'll tell you, 5.5 ounces. Okay, that is compared to, say, the Gancraft, 2 ounces, 2.0. The Chimura shad, 2.9. This A-rig rod, I believe, was rated up to 3 ounces. Yep, 3 ounces. You can use like an A-rig rod if you want to get up to 3 ounces. If you want to get a good rod that's more specific to glide bait fishing, if you're going to be doing it, the 764 Irod Gen 3, the junk rod, is a fantastic smaller glide bait rod. Okay, it's a moderate action, 7'6". I use it for a lot of things. It's called the junk rod because it does so many things well. You want to get outside of that, Irod has a ton of rods. I'll show you right here. This just happens to be the catalog page for the Gen 3 Swimbait rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And then if you flip it over and look at that 764 junk rod, that's number 8. And then there is also getting bit on a glide bait is just half of the battle. The other half of the battle is getting them back to the boat. A lot of people don't realize that, and they'll get a big rod like this one here. This is an Irod 804. Okay, it's a bigger swim bait rod. This is for my bigger glide bait, 3 to 10 ounce moderate action. You can see I've got a bigger reel here, a 300, 3000 size reel, whatever you want to call it. A little bit longer, but not too much. I've got some other glide bait rods over there that have a much wider butt. Some people like that also on a swim bait. You can rest that back up under your armpit and use it as leverage when you set. As far as line goes, these smaller ones here tend to work much better with the lighter line you can use. Okay, that's a 177 inches, so you know it's a little over 7. This is the same basic size you'll see there. Okay, I wouldn't call the feather tail any length there. The lighter line you can get away with using, the better. I think the sweet spot is right there in that 16, 17 pound test range. You can go up to 20, but the heavier line you go, the more drag you get through the water. So most of the time, now the cover glide, if you're throwing around cover, is the exception to that. This Gancraft here is going to be the general rule, is we're casting it out in open water. 15 pound big game, I've said it time and time again, is extremely strong. I know a lot of guys like throwing these baits on heavier line. I will go up to 20. There's probably 18. I use shooter, 18 pound shooter a lot, just because it's that happy median for me for the line where I don't quite worry about it breaking. Got plenty of power to pull a big fish back to the boat. It's still light enough to where it's not going to hinder this quite as much. And the other thing I'm going to do, and you'll see it, is have something on the nose for freedom of movement. And the Gancraft, where's the box? The Gancraft there comes with a snap. See it taped in there? So use the snap. I don't like to keep changing snaps from bait to bait because every time you open and close that thing, you are weakening it. I like to keep my glide baits in their packaging. I do have some glide bait boxes that are freaking awesome. They're made by Clutch. I store as many as I can in those, but they generally hold 3 to 4 glide baits per box. They are protected by foam, so the bait's not moving around, nothing's getting kinked. They're very effective at holding the baits. I can generally load the boxes, put them in the boat. I have what I need for the day. The rest of my stuff is in boxes, just like you're seeing here. Now, some of this is new, and I haven't fished it yet. I haven't fished the carp. I just got the carp not too long ago anyway. This one I've had for a little bit. Deps slide swimmer. Now, these two are going to be in the same category. What most people don't know, and I love the Deps slide swimmer, okay? It is probably one of the best drawing baits, meaning getting fish to come out and show themselves from a distance on the market. That is, until you compare it. All right, so you'll see, you keep it in the box. They're formed to keep everything in its shape. There is nothing worse than destroying a $80 to $100 bait by storing it improperly. The slide swimmer, the only thing soft on it's the tail up here. So I put it in head first, and in the box it goes, okay? Again, that's going to be that weight class where you're going to need a heavier rod for it. And most of it's casting. As far as the retrieving and battling the fish part go, the other rods mentioned will do that job just fine. But when you're trying to cast a 6 or 7 ounce bait, you can't just rear back and huck it out there, okay? It's not gonna bode well for you. It's not gonna bode well for your bait. It's not gonna go well. You're gonna be testing out your line and seeing just how strong it is and where that breaking point is. And you're gonna find out when casting these bait. And really it goes for all of them. It's really kind of a lob cast, similar to a heavier A-rig. That's why it's got the long handle. It's a lob, and they'll go plenty far all by themselves. So we're gonna do some underwater stuff. I will get some glide baits. I've got some already in the boat. They're always in the boat. And when we get out to the lake, we'll go over how, where I throw them, that kind of stuff. Right now, we're going to fish stuff that has that slow meandering swim where I can chip, and I will be using forward-facing sonar. I mean, it's one of the greatest advantages with forward-facing sonar is to be able to watch your glide bait and know when one's coming up on it, and that change of cadence, chop, chop, pause. Okay, it's one of the things that's toughest things to do is get those fish to trigger on a glide bait. It used to be easy, not so easy no more. I'm Sean, the Average Angler. Thanks for watching.